For centuries, humanity believed it was alone, or at the very least unnoticed in the vast expanse of the galaxy. This assumption, though comforting, was dangerously incorrect. The galaxy was not silent. It was merely ignoring us. At the center of the galactic web of civilization stood the Galactic Council, an ancient alliance of powerful alien races that had maintained interstellar order for tens of thousands of years. These beings, older than human civilization itself, operated under strict protocols, observe emerging species but do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Earth, to them, was an underdeveloped world, chaotic, fragmented, and too primitive to matter. From their ivory towers of technology and diplomacy, the Council saw humanity as a potential threat only in the far future, if at all. They monitored Earth through cloaked probes and distant observations, noting our wars, environmental destruction, and reckless technological growth. They classified us as a Tier 0 civilization, unstable, aggressive, and unworthy of open contact. The Council voted unanimously to contain Earth if needed, but for now to ignore it. But what the Council failed to understand was this: humanity thrives in the shadows. While the Council looked outward with pride, Earth looked inward with paranoia. Whispers of alien observers had already reached our intelligence agencies. Governments, secret coalitions, and private think tanks began to piece together the truth. We were being watched, judged, and we weren't being invited into the galactic community. We were being caged. Humanity reacted the only way it knew how, by preparing for the worst. In the hidden corners of our world, beneath Antarctica, in the dark side of the moon, and deep beneath the oceans, covert programs began. Brilliant scientists, military strategists, and rogue AI systems worked in unison, unburdened by public scrutiny or ethical oversight. The project was known by many names, but one stuck: the Obsidian Protocol. Its purpose was simple, yet radical: harness dark matter, the most mysterious and untouchable force in the universe, and weaponize it before the Council even realized what was happening. Dark matter, the invisible substance that makes up most of the cosmos, had baffled even the most advanced alien minds. But humans, driven by desperation and ambition, began to crack its code. They developed engines that could bend space without using traditional fuel, cloaking systems that rendered ships completely undetectable, and weapons that could erase ships from existence without leaving debris. This wasn't just an arms race, it was a technological leap that defied the known laws of physics. Humanity wasn't catching up. It was bypassing the rest of the galaxy entirely. Still, Earth remained quiet. No fleet was launched. No declarations were made. Instead, humanity waited in silence, perfecting its fleet in the dark, watching the Council, the way the Council had watched us. But when the Council finally decided to act, sending a peacekeeping delegation toward the solar system under the pretense of establishing contact, Earth saw through the charade. The delegation wasn't peace, it was containment. It was the beginning of Earth's permanent subjugation. The Obsidian Protocol was activated, and so ended the Age of Silence. From this moment on, humanity would no longer be the observed. It would be the reckoning. The activation of the Obsidian Protocol marked the dawn of a new era, not just for humanity but for the entire galaxy. With the illusion of peace shattered, Earth's most secretive and powerful factions moved in unison. There would be no open declarations, no diplomatic broadcasts. Humanity's answer to the Galactic Council's silent threat would be swift, invisible, and absolute. It began with the unification of the hidden alliances, a covert coalition of military leaders, quantum physicists, technologists, and AI entities operating outside the jurisdiction of any one nation. These groups had long anticipated this moment. They had monitored alien signals, reverse-engineered fragments of crashed probes, and developed technologies decades ahead of what the public believed possible. Now, united under a single command structure, they began full-scale construction of the dark matter fleet. Hidden in the most unreachable corners of the solar system, These shipyards were unlike anything seen before. Deep beneath the ice of Europa, in the hollowed caverns of the moon, and in orbit behind Neptune's shadow, ship assembly lines whirred to life. Each vessel was a marvel of human ingenuity and dark matter engineering. Invisible to sensors, faster than light without hyperspace lanes, and capable of manipulating gravity and time in localized fields. The ships bore no names, only designations. They weren't meant to be symbols of pride or tools of exploration. They were weapons of disruption. These craft could appear without warning, unleash apocalyptic force, and vanish into dark space before any countermeasure could be launched. Powered by dark matter cores, they needed no conventional fuel, no crew if desired. Many were piloted by sentient AIs, post-human minds born from neural networks too complex for even their creators to fully understand. As humanity built its armada, it also built an infrastructure for war. Vast arrays of quantum relays were positioned across the system for instantaneous communication. Mars, previously a colony effort, was militarized overnight. Titan became a deep storage facility for antimatter. Even Earth cities were retrofitted with planetary defense grids hidden beneath skyscrapers and oceans. But none of this was made public. The vast majority of humanity lived on, unaware that their species was preparing for interstellar war. To them, the stars were still distant and unreachable. Meanwhile, human intelligence operatives intercepted encrypted Council communications. It was clear. The so-called peacekeeping fleet was armed and programmed with protocols to limit Earth's technological development permanently. They planned to install orbital monitors, enforce species-wide surveillance, and isolate Earth from potential allies. This was not peace. It was occupation. Faced with this existential threat, humanity made a bold decision. Strike first, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. The Council believed Earth was still a Tier 0 world. It didn't know Earth had already entered Tier Infinity, a new classification forged in secrecy and warcraft. Humanity no longer sought a seat at the table. It was building its own table, and flipping the old one over. As the dark matter fleet neared completion, the order was given. Begin preparations for Operation Eclipse, a silent, preemptive strike to cripple the Council's infrastructure and send a message no alien species could ignore. Humanity wasn't rising to meet the galaxy's standards, it was redefining them. The galaxy never heard the first strike. That was the point. When Operation Eclipse was launched, no war horns blared. No fleets of glowing ships emerged from hyperspace. No declarations of war echoed across the stars. The Galactic Council, basking in millennia of control and order, never anticipated an enemy that would attack without announcing itself. But that's exactly what humanity did. The dark matter fleet, fully operational and cloaked within subdimensional shadows, slipped silently out of the solar system. These ships didn't follow established routes or need stargates. They tore through space by bending the fabric of dark matter, navigating folds and rifts that even the most advanced alien civilizations couldn't detect or understand. In effect, they moved like ghosts, present yet invisible, near yet unreachable. Their targets were chosen with precision, not cities, not planets, but the infrastructure of control. The first blow fell on ComGrid Delta, a Council communication nexus, located within the neutral Virelian cluster. It connected over 70 Council systems, including the capital world of Azural. One moment it was transmitting trillions of interstellar messages per second. The next it was gone, not damaged, not disabled, erased. No blast, no wreckage, just a vacuum where a space station used to be. Within moments, a half-dozen more, hubs across the galaxy suffered the same fate. Then hyperspace relays, the backbones of Council travel, were folded into collapsing singularities and lost forever. Key war archives and AI cores were corrupted by quantum viruses, released milliseconds before detonation. The viruses weren't just destructive, they were insulting. Embedded within their code were human-written phrases. We were never behind. We were watching. Panic spread across the Council faster than the damage itself. For the first time, in tens of thousands of years, systems went dark. Factions lost contact. Worlds were isolated. Some feared a galactic extinction event. Others believed a previously unknown hypercivilization was wiping out the known order. What none of them realized, at least not yet, was that this devastation came from the one world they had all dismissed, Earth. As chaos erupted across Council space, humanity made its first and only transmission, an untraceable broadcast embedded into the collapsed code of the war AI on Veritas Prime. It consisted of a single voice speaking in perfect Council standard. This is not a conquest. This is a correction. You watched. You judged. You conspired. We responded. Let this be your only warning. Earth has spoken. The transmission ended with coordinates pointing to the ruins of Grid Delta. The message was not meant to be cruel. It was calculated. Earth didn't want war, not in the traditional sense. It didn't want planets, slaves, or tribute. It wanted freedom, true sovereignty, beyond Council control or scrutiny. It wanted the galaxy to understand that humanity would not be contained, evaluated, or dictated to by beings who believed themselves above consequence. And if the only way to earn that respect was through fear, then fear would speak louder than diplomacy ever could. The Galactic Council had made one fatal mistake. It had mistaken silence for weakness. But silence was never weakness. It was strategy. The Galactic Council had always operated under the illusion of control. Its strength was not merely in technology or numbers, but in the sheer weight of history. For thousands of years, it had been the center of law, trade, diplomacy, and military might. Civilizations lived and died under its sanction. Peace was enforced, not granted. But all of that changed in a matter of days. Humanity's Operation Eclipse didn't just cripple the Council. It fractured the illusion that it was unchallengeable. As key infrastructure went dark and central, networks collapsed, the galaxy spiraled into confusion. Entire sectors were suddenly unreachable. Ships reliant on hyperspace lanes became stranded. Planetary economies halted. Defense grids malfunctioned, unsure whether they were under attack or experiencing system failure. Panic turned to paranoia. Without communication, Council member species began to suspect each other. Old rivalries flared. Border skirmishes erupted, as misunderstandings piled on top of fear. Some suspected the mysterious attacker was an internal rebel faction. Others blamed external enemies long thought extinct. Almost no one imagined the real truth, that a primitive Tier 0 species from the edge of the Orion Arm was behind it all. That is, until the capital fell. Azuril, the jewel of the Galactic Council, home to the Grand Chamber, the archive of stars and the primacy AI, was considered the most secure planet in known space. Its orbital defenses were unmatched. Its atmosphere was layered with quantum shielding. No foreign ship had entered its skies in 12,000 years. But then, in the quiet of an Azuralian dusk, it simply happened. A black rift opened in the sky, completely silent. From it emerged a single Terran vessel, shaped not like a ship, but like a jagged, living monument. It hovered above the Council citadel for less than 60 seconds. During that time, all digital systems in the city failed. Gravity reversed for 7 seconds. Time inside the citadel looped twice, and then it vanished. There was no attack, no destruction, just a demonstration. And a single word carved into the heart of the Grand Chamber's floor: observe. The psychological impact was greater than any weapon. Council leaders, many of whom had ruled for centuries, resigned overnight. Some disappeared. A few went mad, claiming they had seen glimpses of the future during the time loop, futures where humanity ruled entire star systems, where Council races served as vassals, and where Earth was a name spoken only in fear. One by one, core Council worlds began to fall, not by force, but by collapse. Civil unrest erupted. Alliances crumbled. Member states declared neutrality, afraid to provoke further wrath. Some factions even reached out to humanity in secret, offering information or technology in exchange for mercy. And through it all, humanity remained silent. Its fleet, scattered throughout the galaxy in cloaked formations, made no demands. It occupied no territory. It issued no ultimatums. It simply removed the foundations of the old order and let the rest fall under its own weight. This wasn't conquest. It was calculated destabilization. The Galactic Council had always feared rebellion from within, or invasion from beyond the edge of known space. But what it never prepared for was the rise of a species it had ignored, one that had evolved in secret, watched its watchers, and built a weapon not of mass destruction, but of psychological dominance. The age of the Council was over, and the age of human unpredictability had begun. The Galactic Council, once a symbol of interstellar unity, had been reduced to fragments, disconnected, leaderless, and paralyzed by fear. Yet even in the face of overwhelming psychological defeat, the most powerful council races could not accept the idea that their centuries-old order had been toppled by a single, inferior species. Humiliation gave way to desperation, and desperation led to one final stand. From the ashes of shattered alliances, a new coalition emerged, the Core Concordance. It was made up of the Council's most militarized and prideful members, the Zerathi Warminds, the Cerulean Vortex Caste, the Arun judges, and others who had ruled with unquestioned dominance. These species believed the Council had fallen, not because of humanity's strength, but because of its own complacency. They vowed to correct that mistake. A summit was called. In the Trion sector, a heavily fortified region of space shielded by 3 artificial black holes. There, the Core Concordance pooled its remaining fleets, technologies, and war minds into a single defense and counteroffensive strategy. The plan: draw humanity out, destroy the dark matter fleet, and restore order through fear. They called it the Reckoning Protocol. But humanity was already watching. Earth's intelligence networks, far more advanced than the Concordance knew, had already mapped Trion's defenses, intercepted their encrypted plans, and even infiltrated their command. AIs. The Council's last hope was already compromised before a single human ship appeared. Still, Earth chose to engage. It was time to end the war, not with quiet erasure, but with an open demonstration of force that would echo across the stars. Hero. Battle for Trion was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The Concordance unleashed its full might. Fleets the size of continents, antimatter storms, planet-sized drones, and sentient singularities programmed to consume enemy vessels. Their numbers dwarfed anything humanity could field conventionally. On paper, it should have been an overwhelming victory. But the dark matter fleet did not fight conventionally. Human ships bent space, appearing inside enemy formations without warning. They twisted local gravity, crashing enemy vessels into another. They disrupted time in microbursts, making entire fleets freeze for seconds, just long enough for precision strikes. Some Terran warships were AI only, moving with reflexes faster than light. Others carried quantum pilots, humans merged with machines, existing in multiple timelines simultaneously. The Concordance's strategy fell apart within hours. Command nodes were severed, defensive grids turned inward, attacking their own. Entire regions of the sector went dark, this time permanently. In the end, the Concordance didn't retreat. It disintegrated. The last transmission received from the Trion sector came from a Zerathi general, a being once considered unbeatable. His voice trembled. They are not bound by time. They are not bound by fear. This is not a war. This is extinction. Then silence. With the Concordance shattered, no military force remained capable of opposing Earth. The war was over. But victory wasn't declared. No celebrations were broadcast. Humanity simply disappeared once more into the shadows. The galaxy now knew Earth could strike at any time, from any place, without warning, and there would be no second chances. The dark matter fleet had not just destroyed an enemy, it had redefined the balance of power in the galaxy. The war was over, but there was no peace treaty, no surrender ceremony, no speeches recorded for the history archives. The galaxy simply woke up to a new reality. A reality where Earth no longer asked for a seat at the table, because it now stood above it. With the Council shattered and the Concordance erased, The power vacuum across the galaxy widened into a black hole. Yet humanity made no effort to fill it. No demands were sent. No flags were planted. No planets were claimed. The dark matter fleet faded into the fabric of space as quietly as it had arrived, leaving billions of beings across thousands of systems asking the same question. What does Earth want? The answer was as unexpected as the war itself. Nothing. No annexations. No taxes. No control. At least not in the traditional sense. Instead of ruling worlds, humanity began ceding influence. Small anonymous devices, black seamless monoliths, appeared on key trade worlds, orbiting moons, and once council, capital systems. They emitted no signals, showed no aggression, and answered no attempts at communication. But soon after their arrival, infrastructure began repairing itself. Disease-resistant crops began to grow. Gravity stabilized. War ceased, not from enforcement, but from the unmistakable implication, Earth is watching. Former council species, now leaderless and disoriented, scrambled to reorganize, but none dared challenge humanity. Entire governments shifted their philosophies overnight, militaries deactivated, academies rewrote textbooks. Across the stars, a term emerged that captured the new paradigm: the silent empire. It was an empire without borders, without bureaucracy, without propaganda. It ruled through absence. It offered no ideology to follow, no leader to assassinate, no territory to invade. Its ships were rumors, its agents invisible. Its power unquestionable. The psychological effect was immense. In markets, a shift in Earth's encrypted quantum stock index could ripple across systems. In diplomacy, alliances were built not for defense, but for mutual protection from Earth's hypothetical wrath. Even religion evolved. On some worlds, humans were seen as divine avatars of cosmic balance. On others, dark matter itself became a sacred element, the substance of Earth. Yet back on Earth, things were eerily normal. Cities thrived in silence. The public knew little of what had transpired beyond the stars. The true history of the war was buried under 100 layers of classified obfuscation. Those who knew, the Terran strategists, the fleet AIs, the architects of the Obsidian Protocol, operated in the shadows, watching the galaxy unfold like a machine they had quietly rewritten. Earth had not become a conqueror. It had become a cosmic deterrent. No species could plan openly against humanity now, because they could not be sure if they were already compromised. No invasion could be plotted, because no one knew where the fleet truly was. Humanity had done what no empire before it had ever managed. It ended the need to fight, not by enforcing peace but by making the cost of conflict unthinkable. And so the galaxy moved forward, cautiously, quietly, and forever changed. Earth had spoken once. It didn't need to speak again.